Hi, and welcome to the Modern Oracle Tarot YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at an example of a 5-card Modern Oracle Tarot reading. This is a card layout that I designed specifically to show the power of choice and decision in a tarot reading. Tarot and psychic readings are not about predicting the future. They never really have been. That's more a phenomenon of modern books, TV, and media. What tarot and psychic readings do best is help you make good decisions, help you increase your understanding, help you expand your horizons so you can make the choices you need to make, take the actions you need to take in order to create the future you want, rather than predict a random future that you may or may not need. All good vibes and gratitude to AK today for sharing her question with us. Her question is just a general look at what career and romance may have in store for her, what she can do to take good steps forward in those areas, which I think is the best way to look at a tarot reading. What are your next best steps to take? I also thought her question was interesting because she also brought up a health component. She wanted to know about some health concerns. This is as good a time as any to let you know I do not take health questions. That's because I don't think tarot readings and a third person's intuition has any place in healthcare at all. If intuition has a place, it's in the holistic approach, mind, body, spirit, health, and balance, and also you as an individual using your intuition to communicate with your healthcare practitioner. If you think something's wrong, talk to them about it. If you think something's being missed, talk to them about it. But intuition is your intuition between you and your professional. It's not at all for a third-party reader to touch. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the other aspects. What are some good next steps to take as far as career and romance or anything else that turns up? She requested 4 shuffles, and like I said, in the 7-card examples, I'll either ask you how many shuffles you would like in a reading to help connect your energy to the cards, or if that isn't said in an email reading or what have you, I'll use the syllables in your name. So that's, if I ask you for a name, it's for that reason, not to disclose your identity or anything like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and do the 4 shuffles. And today I'm using the Tarot Illuminati cards by Eric Dunn. It's a new deck for me. That's why the edges are still so nice and shiny. And it's a lovely deck, really. I like the colors. I'm a big color person. There's 3. And there's 4. Okay, so let's put the deck right there. Now I'm still getting used to some of the technical aspects of this, so I'm going to pick up the tablet, pardon me for the shaky picture here for a minute, and let's look at the cards we get. The first card is Lessons from the Past that can help you now. The second card is Ideas to help you understand right now. The third card is your next step forward. Now I know some of these cards, especially from the Suite of Swords, look a little scary sometimes, but don't panic. This deck and many of the modern decks are based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which was drawn 100 years ago. So some of the symbolic language that's in the artwork on tarot cards are a little outdated, so don't panic until you have a chance to talk about the card. Okay, so we have Lessons from the Past, Understanding Now, Next Step Forward, Advice, and Alternate Direction. That's where the other component of choice comes in. When I say this tarot layout has an element of choice, the first three cards show the path that you're on right now. And this fifth card shows an alternate direction. It's another way you can take your path, another way things can go based on your choices and the things that you decide to do. Now let's get some of this lighting glare out of the way. Excuse me while I move the table here a little bit. But there's the total card layout. Looking at it as a whole, in the first card position we have the King of Cups. Then we have the Five of Coins. I don't know if you can see that very well. Pentacles is another term for coins you see on some decks. Then we have the Nine of Swords, the Tower, and finally, this is the one that's not showing up very well. Hopefully I'll get all these problems fixed when I get my new tablet stand. But anyway, the Princess of Cups, which is sometimes called the Knight of Cups in other decks. When we look at the general pattern here, we see that all of the cards are from the Minor Arcana, which you would expect since there's so many more of them than there are Major Arcana cards. There is one Major Arcana card at the center of things, which is the Tower card. Taken as a whole, I would take that as a hint that there's going to be some energy, some change, some movement. You're not going to be bored or stagnated. But even though it may seem stressful now, it's not going to be a huge stress when you look back at this from the future. When you look back with hindsight, it's going to seem better than it feels right now. Also, looking at the Minor Arcana suites, you've got a little bit of everything represented here. You have all of the 4 Minor Arcana suites except the Wands. Cups dominate as far as that goes, which isn't surprising because the Cups is the suite most associated with romance, close relationships, that sort of thing. Coins or Pentacles are associated with the physical realm of life, so that would go with the career issues. Swords have to do with larger relationships, our relationship with authority, culture as a whole, that sort of thing. And as far as the general patterns go, that's all I'm getting right now for you. So let's go card by card. First we have, again, I apologize for the lighting, it's bad today for some reason. But first I have the King of Cups. The King of Cups is a symbol of mentorship and guidance. Sometimes it's considered spirit guides. Since you asked about career, I'm thinking this may be more associated with a literal mentor or a literal teacher. I don't know what your career choices are or what career field you might be in, but it feels like as you make decisions about whether you want to stay where you're at, move on, change jobs, get more education, if any of those options have crossed your mind or are open to you, there's a lot of advice around this card. First of all would be to talk to a mentor, someone you know or trust about even making any changes or making any decisions. And then after you make your decision, getting continued support and guidance from someone who's knowledgeable would be very helpful to you. I can't say for sure about the time, but the feeling here is there may have been a mentor or a teacher, someone from around your high school years. It feels like a favorite high school teacher, that kind of energy. That person or that type of person may be the one to best advise you about your career. Oddly enough, I know it's a Cups card, and I know I just said that Cups have to do with relationships, but the meaning of the individual card seems to overtake the meaning of the suite as a whole in this situation. So lessons from the past would be to find someone from your past that you already know, already trust, have talked to, have worked with, and that person, be it male or female, would be the person to help you move your career forward. You don't have to do this alone is another element of the message. You may have been trying to make this decision on your own, but this card is giving you a little bit of advice to find someone from your past who's helped you before, who may be able to help you again. Maybe not with like literal financial help, certainly not to make the decision for you, but a little bit of advice and guidance, like a favorite teacher or a guidance counselor or a favorite aunt or uncle might. Something on that order. Next we have the Three of Coins. Let's see if I can get a little better shot of this for you. I'm sorry, the Five of Coins. But the classical meaning for this card is compassion. And the feeling I get around this card is take it easy on yourself. Have a little compassion for yourself, especially where career is concerned. The feeling here is that you may be one of those people who are really hard on yourself and your own worst enemy in some ways. You may be putting pressure on yourself or sensing pressure on you from the outside that just isn't there. So the advice from this card would be very clear-minded about that. Don't take on pressure that doesn't actually exist, or at least not exist yet. Try and avoid perfectionism. That can throw a wrench in the works for you too. Be kind to yourself. Have realistic goals. Meet them gently. Meet them gently comes through very strongly there. So, don't push. It feels like let things unfold on their own. That pushing yourself, pushing timelines, pushing expectations may cause things to unravel. The word unravel comes through here. Let things unfold on their own. Be gentle with yourself. Get some advice. You don't always have to take the hard way out. Also comes through here. And I also get a little sense of that take the easy path. I don't know if this is a literal thing for you or just an example, but it feels like the path you may want to take with your career may seem like a cop-out or an easy way out or an easy job, either to your original goals as compared to your original goals or as compared to the expectations that other people have for you. Don't take on that burden is the advice here. It's like, even if your goal in life is to go dig ditches because you don't have to think about it very hard, that's still honorable and good, and do what's right for you. Do what's mentally healthy for you. Even if it doesn't meet the high-powered, high-test expectations you may have set for yourself before, or the high expectations that other people may set for you. So again, compassion for yourself, meet expectations gently. The next card is the Nine of Swords. Swords, excuse me, have a reputation for kind of being a negative suite. It's not always the case though. Swords in the past have been weapons of war. Think of swords as the AK-47 of their time period. Today's swords, not so much. They're more ceremonial, symbols of authority. Kind of like, what comes to mind here is, you know those dress uniforms that Marines have? I think it is, where they have the dress sword or the uniform or display sword. That's the feeling that's coming through around this card. It's like swords is symbolism rather than any sort of hint of actual violence or concern. And that would go along with the traditional meaning of this card. The 9 in particular has to do with what's called useless regret. Think of it as, well, keeping you up at night. You see how this person's kind of sitting up in bed and awake? Do you ever have times where you find yourself thinking about something over and over and over again, even though it is indeed over, kind of like grinding on an idea, or you know how you think of the zippy comeback 2 days later when you can't use it anymore? That kind of thinking and thinking about something and going on over and over and over about it. This card is always a strong advice against that. Let go of old hurts, live in the moment is your next best step forward. I get the feeling that also applies more to career than to romance. Not as much romance energy coming through in these cards as I thought there might be, especially after seeing two cup suites, two cups cards in the mix. But lots of career energy. Here the advice is don't hold a grudge. Don't keep thinking about old hurts over and over again. Let it go, move on, live in the moment. So these first three cards are very much career oriented. Get mentoring and advice where you need it. Set expectations that make you happy, not meet other people's expectations. Meet your expectations gently, not with a lot of pressure or perfectionism. Next step forward, let old hurts go. Be more in the moment as far as your career goes. Again, look for happiness rather than material success or high expectations put on you by other people. Sure, you want to have enough money to meet your needs, but happiness is a need too. The center card is the Tower card. My hunch is that this is more a validation card than anything else for you. Let's see if we can get a better view of that for you. Again, one of those nice colored cards. The traditional meaning for the Tower is chaos, and rather than being a full advice card, it feels like this card is somewhat of what I call a validation card. Any card in any position can give one of a number of types or flavors of message. It can be an advice card, like these first three, something about you want to think about maybe doing, or it can be a cautions card, something to think about maybe avoiding, like this one saying avoid all those constant thoughts and let things go. So that's the caution there. This one is another type. It's what I call a validation. And it's like the universe acknowledging what you've been through, acknowledging what you're feeling. It's sort of a cosmic, I hear you. The validation here is that the energies or the energy environment that you're in is working with you maybe more than you realize. It's like the universe understands, maybe people understand more than you realize the chaos and stress and upset you've been feeling. Both with career and romance. Again, the energy feels a little stronger for career here, but there's also support for the other concerns as well. It feels like I hear key to, or portal to, or doorway to, something kind of like that. It feels like getting the career component nailed down first will take enough burden off your mind and off your heart that you can concentrate on the romance. I think taken all together, these cards are saying get the career under control first. Get that component of life nailed down so you can put it on the back burner and then move on to concentrating on romance. It feels like, and I get no sense of time here whatsoever, but it feels like whatever the situation is in your romance right now, no big changes there. If it's a bad situation, certainly you want to take control and move on. But it feels like your career is your avenue to give you the money and the ability to do that, to take care of yourself and do what you need to do. If you're in a relationship and it's not dangerous or bad or wrong, it may continue as is without any change or progression or anything for a little while still. If you're not in a relationship and would like to be, same principle applies, unfortunately, that things will be as is for a little while. Now's the opportunity to get career nailed down, and then once you have that nailed down, that'll make space in your life for a new romance to come in if that's what you want. And then finally, your alternate direction is the Princess or Knight of Cups. It's an interesting component to this deck, is it kind of gender swaps some of the cards compared to the old traditional Raider White decks. So, I'm sorry, did I say knight? I meant page. The Princess of Cups and the Page of Cups are by and large the same card and have the same meaning. In this case, it has to do with dealing with old demons, kind of looking things in the face. And I think the energy from this card and the sword cards are very connected. The sword card is saying, don't ruminate over old hurts, let them go. The page or Princess of Cups is saying, deal with those old demons. And again, there's that let it go component. This is telling you what to do, let it go. This is telling you how to do it. It's telling you you can let go of the old hurts, but only after you kind of take them face to face and really look at them and understand what happened and understand your own feelings. Sunlight is the best antiseptic. So if there's anything that's been hidden, anything you've kept from yourself, kept from other people, laying it all on the table and taking the bull by the horns and facing up to things is the only way to clear out the wound and let it heal and let go of the old hurts and move on with things. I know that's kind of a tough message to hear, but that's kind of the tough love message that's coming through this particular card for you. Now, after we go through card by card, I always take a minute, stop and think, so forgive any silences here. But I see if there's any other intuition that comes through, sort of like a scrying session or a cold reading session. It may have to do with the cards, it may not. Looking at the cards as a whole, the two most important ones, well actually the three most important ones seem to be the ones around the edges. The central core of things right now is how you're feeling, which is the chaos and the upset and the stress that's represented by the Tower card. But around the edges, though, that's the important part because those are the next steps that you're looking for. For a career, the next step is get that advice, like the King of Cups. For both career and romance, that next step is to not think about and rehash and revisit old hurts, but rather, as the Princess of Cups suggests, face them. Lay your cards on the table, forgive the pun, and let sunshine be the best antiseptic. Let the openness and confrontation, not in a harsh way, but just like in a non-hiding way, face old hurts, face what's bothering you, take the problem head on, take the bull by the horns. When you do that, then you won't have anything you have to sit and think over and regret and go over and rehash. You can, at that point, then let it all go. Get whatever new starts you might need. Also, that will make room in your life for new things to come in. New romance, if that's what you're looking for. New career steps, if that's what you're looking for. The best way to move forward is to clear out the old crap and make room for the new good things to come in, if that makes any sense. And that's some pretty high test messages to get. So at that point, the energies step back and no more images or messages come through at that point. Once again, big thank you for sharing your question with us today. If anyone's interested in getting a reading of their own, either in recorded format like this, which I promise you will be technically improving as time goes on, or in the email format, which is my specialty. I am very, very good at those. So if you want a video reading, an email reading, or in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, an in-person reading, contact me at modernoracletarot.com. If you visit the website, there's written examples of all the different readings I do, a blog with free daily meditation tarot readings, question and answer posts, and lots of good information to read. So hopefully I'll see you there. Thank you all very much, and have a good evening. Bye.